morning, darling. Good to see you.
I'll see you
You
too.
look beautiful. Look at you. Trying to make me look bad. What's that about?
Thank you so much, Mr. Raz Adoti, for being here with me today. I do sincerely appreciate that. You look very nice.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying to keep up with you. Look at this girl here telling me I look nice.
No, you look really, really nice. I love the way you look. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll accept that. I'll say thank you.
Thank you. I know you had to carve out time out of your very crowded schedule to be here.
There's always enough time for you, princess.
Thank you.
That's the right thing to say, right?
Thank you so much. Now, I didn't know you have a daughter.
Yeah, I have a daughter, yeah.
Tell me about it.
I have a 2-year-old who's about to be 3.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's a joy. Kemi, love her to bits. Kemi, yeah, I love her to bits, man. She's funny, she's really, really smart.
That's interesting.
I know all parents kind of say this about their children, so, you know, I don't want to sound like a cliche, but, you know.
No, that's fine.
She is smart.
That's
and
awesome.
she is funny.
Awesome.
Beautiful little thing.
So
Yeah.
you live here in Los Angeles with your family, and you film out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I live here in LA. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
How was that transition for you from London now in LA? And I know you've been here for so many years now.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, every now and again you kind of stop and look out the window, so to speak, and you realize how long you've been in a particular place. And it amazes me, because I remember when I first came out here back in 2003.
It's a long time.
It's a long time,
decade
13
now.
years.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on staying here necessarily for as long as I've been here. I thought, okay, you know, I'll try it out for like, you know, 2-3 years, maybe 5 years, whatever, just see
Let's see how it
goes.
goes.
But somewhere along the line, I guess I just got seduced by this sunshine and palm trees and blue skies and as well, and the optimism. There's a real optimism out here, I find.
Absolutely.
More so than the UK, in my experience anyway. I mean, the UK is very, very creative as well, don't get me wrong, but in terms of, there just seems to be a general kind of more of a go-get kind of feel to
totally agree
LA.
with you.
I can't speak of the rest of the states, but you know, because I've just mainly been living here. But of course I miss my family, who are still my mom, my dad, brothers, sisters, all in London. Grandmother, aunties, uncles, everything in Nigeria. So, you know, between the two countries, I mean, I visit both countries all the time.
That's like me, by the way.
Just like you? There you go, there you go. I know there's a lot of us out here who are like transplants from, you know, either Nigeria or the UK or direct from Nigeria to here, whatever it is.
It's a lot. Sometimes you have to figure, where do I have to be in this, you know, season? Where do I have to be in that season? Because you just want to see how you can factor family into your everyday life.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
I'll tell you what, one of the things that's been killing me out here is Mother's Day. I always forget the British Mother's Day. So whenever it's Mother's Day in the UK, I always miss it and I feel so bad. And then I send her a card like months later and she's like, what? Like every year we have the same kind of miscommunication, like, oh, you missed it. I'm like, no, it's different here. Anyway, silly little things like that, man. It's just, you know, but it's all good, it's all good. I mean, I'm happy to be here. I feel blessed to be here.
Awesome.
I'm doing different projects out here, you know. I made the transition from not just acting, because when I came out here in 2003, it was on the back of Black Hawk Down, a film that I shot with Ridley Scott.
I saw that movie again yesterday, and I think
nice.
you did an awesome job. Black Hawk Down, it's an awesome movie. You played the villain so well.
I know. Mo Alim, yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. Do you know what? The funny thing is, I wasn't even going to do it when I first got it, because there's a couple of things that went down in the casting process that I was. Like, I'd done Amistad a few years earlier.
I saw that
too. Thank you very much for seeing that.
That was a Steven Spielberg movie, Amistad.
Yeah, and that was my first time leaving the UK and being here in the States, first time to the States, and I was here for like 6 months shooting that film, and I was really homesick by the end of it, so I got back to the UK, you know, just trying to, you know, continue obviously my career there, and I miss my family, I miss my friends there, and then, but after like about another, I don't know, 6 months or so being in the UK, I was like, I probably should have stayed in the US. Because the opportunities I was having at that time, like the casting sessions I was having and people who I'm meeting, they it just felt like it was on such a bigger level to what I then went back to the UK and I started going up to like Holby City, like, you know, TV dramas, and, you know, nothing wrong with it, but, you know.
Gone beyond that, so.
I don't say beyond it because I don't want to belittle that. Everything's,
in your
I
understanding,
respect
in
it
your
all.
mindset, you know.
But in my
much
mindset,
more.
it's like, I really wanted to do films.
Yes.
I mean, that's why I came here. At the end of the day, that's why I got into the profession, was to make films. It wasn't so much about TV. I have to say, even theatre. I mean, I really enjoy theatre and I love it and I miss it, but it was mainly films that made me want to be an actor. So, and this obviously is the place to be, the mecca for that in a sense, Hollywood. So, yeah, so I thought, okay, if I'm blessed with another opportunity to come out here, I'm going to really take it. I'm going to see if I can stay and see if I can build on the momentum that I have for whatever project brings me out, hence Black Hawk Down.
Right.
But when I first auditioned for it, the role was I don't think I've told anyone that.
Tell me about
on
it.
camera anyway. The role was actually bigger, but what they did is they then cut the role in half and gave, because they thought, okay, what I was told is that they wanted more diversity within the movie, they wanted more African characters, so they cut my role in half.
Right, I see.
And obviously I wasn't exactly happy about that. I had that young arrogance, even though it was really scared. I was like, what? Who's he to cut my role in half? You know, whatever. I wasn't quite like that, but you know, that was kind of like the sentiment behind it. I was like, I was just really wanting to play the whole role because it was a really great journey. I remember having a conversation with my agent about, okay, do I do the TV show? Do I do Black Hawk Down? And in the end, he was like, look, you got to do Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
And he said, I expressed your frustrations to production. They were already out in Morocco. We shot that in Morocco. I'm filming. And he said, I think the director might want to talk to you.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, okay. I thought nothing of it. Literally like 2 days passed and then suddenly I got a call. This is in London, obviously. And I was like, Ridley Scott? And then I kind of remember what my agent said, but I just didn't think it was possible that he would just call my house number just like that.
Right.
So anyway, I picked up the phone and it was him. And he was like, you know, yes, Raz, you know, we heard about the, you know, the schedule conflict and whatever. You know, we want you to come out here and do this movie. It's, we think it'll be fantastic. You'll be the main antagonist, and it'll be great for your career. And you know, he just goes off kind of rattling in this, you know, in the way he does. And I mean, you don't say no. If Ridley Scott calls you on the phone, I mean, you just, you know. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll see you in like, how long's the flight? You know. So anyway,
You jumped on it.
within a week, I was out there in Morocco. So glad, obviously, I made the right choice. I loved it. It was a great shoot. Fantastic cast. A lot of people was just starting out then as well. I remember Orlando Bloom and Tom Hardy. I mean, me and Hardy were like tight. Who else was out there? Josh Hartnett was just starting out as well. Jeremy Piven was in it. He was just starting out. I say just starting out. I mean, they were just still moving up the ladder, building their names. You know. It's just funny watching how, you know, different people within the cast have kind of had their careers, their trajectories have gone up, and, you know, left and right and everything else. But yeah, it was a blessing. And then on the back of that, here I am. Yeah, I mean, we just had a blast, man. I remember even with Ridley, the way he was directing that, there was so much going on, and it wasn't pre-CGI. Obviously, CGI was still happening, but it was. Obviously, it wasn't where it is now. Right. So a lot of the most, I would say probably 90% or whatever of the explosions and things that happened within that movie were real, in as much as we had explosives set up all around set and whatever, and there were cameras everywhere.
Right.
And because of the nature of, you know, these explosive devices, Ridley and a lot of the directors, well, like I would say a good maybe a quarter mile away. We had to get the direction radioed in from the second AD with, you know, telling us, okay, Ridley said do this or that, and da 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 da. And you often wouldn't see him only at the beginning of the day, lunch perhaps, and at the end of the day. But he was so far away, and he had this tent set up with like about 20 different monitors, because a lot of the times when we were shooting, there was like 20 different cameras. Most of them hidden on barrels of guns, on like under rocks, or I don't know, if there was like a blown up Jeep or something, it'll be within that. Like they were just hidden everywhere, as well as just, you know, standard cameras on tripods, and you had a couple cats with, you know, handheld devices. It was just crazy. Like every angle was covered.
Wow.
And when you went into his tent, you really understood the magnitude of the movie. Because even for me, I was like, how do you process this? He had like 20.
Same thing I thought
these,
the entire night when I watched this movie again. I'm like, how was this done?
Yeah. But he's looking at every camera, and he's getting his shots. He knows what he wants, and I'd never worked with directors like that before or since, but it was a joy, and I'm just really glad Raz had that.
Phenomenal. Now I know you had this audition done with David Oyelowo and Chiwetel Ejiofor.
For I'm a Star.
I'm a Star. Tell me about it. How was it? And Idris Elba.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, we all came up together. I think we were all just like, oh my god, we're actually auditioning for Spielberg. That was, I think, the underlining energy behind all of us, I think, and we couldn't believe we were getting that far because obviously, America was so far away, and I don't think any of us had left England at that point, for the States anyway. Chiwetel was paired with Idris, and I was paired with David. And myself and Chiwetel were the ones who were picked to do the project.
Yeah, I loved it. Now, do you all still, collaborate and get into some works together? Idris Elba, Chiwetel, David Oyelowo, who just done, by the way, an awesome movie right now as well.
Yes.
I know you guys have worked together in the past. Do you still come together and,
Yeah, we bump into each other at events here and there.
Right, I saw that as well.
So, yeah.
That's
but
amazing.
everyone's just doing, on these amazing journeys, and it's we're all so thankful. It's a blessing,
Amazing. So we're still with our extraordinary British Nigerian actor, Raz Adoti. Stay with us, don't go nowhere.
We've been more out than I expect.
So we're back with our extraordinary British Nigerian actor, Mr. Raz Adoti. Yay!
You got to say British one more time for me.
British.
Is that how you say it, or are you like trying to make fun of my accent?
That's how I say it.
British.
Now,
you got this amazing glottal stop. That's a real Cockney trait to be able to say British.
Thank you.
It's not the easiest thing.
At all. It's not at all. Now, take me through your Nigerian journey. I want to hear that. I know you partly Nigerian, descent.
Fully.
Take me through it.
Fully.
Awesome.
Both my mum and dad. Both my mum and dad.
Oh, nice. Take me through it.
Take you through it. Well, okay, my parents, they both actually met in the UK. My mum came to the UK. She was brought to the UK when she was like 3 years old. And my dad came as a student when he was like around like 19, 20, something like that. And they, they met, fell in love, and how many years later they ended up with 3 of us, 3 kids. And I started going to Nigeria. I actually didn't go as a child, and I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to study out there for like at least a year, or at least like a term or a semester to, have that time.
Parents always see that they try to instill that and make sure that their kids, most parents do that, because Nigerians, it's a strong value when the child is, growing up, so they want to make sure that their kids go back there and assimilate all of knowledge, all of the culture, and then send them elsewhere. Was it the same for you? I
mean, that's what I wanted. Even at a young age, I was always very kind of pro-Nigeria and pro-Africa, and I know I got it from my dad, but I can't remember what the point was, because as long back as I can remember, I never really, I don't know, I was never like England. I was always like Nigeria.
What's your favorite?
My favorite Nigerian food?
Dish, yes.
It's got to be pounded yam and egusi.
Oh my goodness, I just learned how to make that. I can make it so nice now.
You just learned? At this your big age.
Spare me. Nice. Now, how often do you go back to Nigeria? Do you ever go there?
Do I? I go there pretty much every year.
Awesome.
Every year, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like, I'm in London every year. I would say that I've missed them last year, but I'm in Nigeria pretty much every year. My grandmother is 96 now. And yeah, man, she's the matriarch of the family. She's like, it's a real kind of godmother situation. For sure, it's a blessing, yeah. And she's a young 96, if you know what I mean. Strong, walking around. She's got her little shop. And she's still selling things and lifting things. Like, we're the ones trying to stop her. Like, grandma, please, just she's like lifting up heavy things and throwing them down.
That though, because I have my great grandmother. She's still strong and still wanting to do things. I would expect that when they're about 90 something, they want to sit back and just relax. But they still strive to want to do things.
It's, you know what, it's just beautiful to see though. It's very, very inspiring. My grandmother's the same way. And not that we want her to slow down in terms of not do anything, but there's certain things like lifting heavy things that she still does that we're like, you know, we don't want you to pull something or whatever it is, but she's relentless. And I love that. And I pray that I have a percentage of that in me that allows me to continue and continue, because I mean, I want to go on for a long time. I mean,
it's phenomenal.
Life is a journey, man. Happiness is a journey. It's not a destination. So, you know, I'm taking inspiration from my grandmother, and that's why I go back so much. I just love it. And as well, with all the beautiful things out here in LA, you do need that reality check. You do need to kind of check out. And you know, I speak to a lot of people out here with transplants from not just different countries, but different states. You know, different cities, Chicago, whatever, Philly, New York, this and that. So, and everyone pretty much says the same thing as well. And it's true. You do need to check out and get back into reality and remember what took you there in the first place, and then you come back out and you get that renewed energy and sense of purpose.
I totally agree with you. Now, what part of Nigeria are you from?
I'm a Lagosian. As my dad's a proud Lagosian.
Nice.
My mum's side as well is Ikorodu. My dad's side of the family, pretty much born and raised there, like literally echo Lagos Island. From before you had to even buy land, they've had land since. They've had land since, which is again in Lagos State, but you know, not in the island, not on the island. It's a little bit further away. You know.
Of course. I try to understand all of this terrain. Now, as a Hollywood actor, man, you would know that you're in some sort of elevated pitch among Nigerians. Do you often think about collaborating with Nigerian movies and Nigerian producers and doing something?
Do I? Or have I?
Have you? Do you?
I mean, that was, you know what, when I first started writing, the first thing I wrote was pretty much a UK/Nigerian story. I say UK/, I mean, the character was so the character was kind of raised in the UK, but the whole movie pretty much took place in Nigeria. And it was just a story I wanted to tell. At the time I was very, very concerned with the way we were being portrayed in the media. And obviously, I mean, a percentage of us have our own selves to blame for that. I'm not going to just say, the media, we have to look at ourselves as well. But aside from that, it was, you know, you can't just be seeing negative stereotypes when it comes to Africa and Nigeria specifically in the media, be it in film, the way we're represented in film or on TV, or on the news. So I was like, you know what? Every time I go to Nigeria, I just have the most beautiful experience. There's certain things that are, you know, certain inconveniences, but I mean, you get that everywhere on certain different levels. And so for me, I'm aware I definitely have a very romantic view of Nigeria and Africa at large. I do have rose-tinted glasses, but you know what? I love my rose-tinted glasses, so why should I take them off? That's the Nigeria that I like. That's the Nigeria that I like. That's Africa. That's the spirit that I love and that touches me, that keeps me going forward.
Switching gears a little bit, what do you think, or what are your thoughts about the happenings in Africa? You know, after when you come from young people are not believed to be carriers of great initiative, and this topic is very core to my heart. Tell me your thoughts about that. You know, how it's believed that you have to be a lot older, you have to be in any position to lead. You have to be at a certain, you know, age or a certain
I've kind of heard that.
Weight. That is very consistent. What do you think about that?
I think that people who think that are somewhat misinformed. Because in terms of the change that needs to be affected in let me just speak on Nigeria specifically for now. It's the young who's going to make that country great. I mean, we already have the potential to be great, but I feel that there's a generation that has lived through the military regime and we had that, and know of some of these other issues that we had back in the day. I just feel that generation's time has come and gone, and it's about this new generation coming up that really is going to affect change. And I think with that new generation, there's going to be more, and there already is more of an emphasis on youth, you know? And I think that's globally as well, because there was a time when, you know, all politicians, if someone said to you, okay, stereotypical picture, your mental picture or image of a politician or someone who's in politics, you're probably going to think of someone who's at least north of 50, in fact, not even 40, north of 50, grey hair.
That range,
you know what I'm saying?
That
Probably
range.
a bit bigger, heavy set, someone who's lived their whole life. You know, if you speak of someone who's in their 30s or even 40s as a politician or a leader of a country, people are like, what are you talking about? They haven't lived enough. But I tell you what, man, sometimes that's the best way to go. That's the best way to go. You know, I just really feel that the change is going to truly move us forward, not just as a nation, but as a continent, is going to come with the youth, with the new generation. And that's why we have to invest in them. Our time, our love, our money, our spirit, our energy, everything.
Should be poured into that.
For sure, for sure.
Thank you for that.
You have to keep them informed. I mean, if you don't educate the youth, then you're going to have a whole generation of uneducated, leaders?
Totally.
To then miseducate their own children. It's a terrible cycle that you don't even want to mess with.
I totally
Education is
the key.
You know?
Now, what would you want to be known for?
Good question. Like my legacy?
What would you want to be known for in life?
As a great father and someone who, wow. Do you know what? That's such a big question.
That's what everyone says to me when I ask that question. That's such a huge question.
I'm glad the first thing out of my mouth was a great father, though.
Yeah.
Especially after what we've just been speaking about with the youth. Someone who's genuine, someone who's progressive, someone who's an independent thinker, and someone who left a positive legacy of work, my own words. And that's, I tell you what, that's another really strong reason as to why I even started writing in the first place. So for example, what motivated me about becoming a writer? There was a recession, as we know, around 2008, 2009. A lot of work here really slowed up. You know, all these hedge funds that were funding projects, especially the independent projects, and I had done quite a few independent as well as studio projects. A lot of those dried up, and purse strings were just being pulled left, right, and centre. There just wasn't as much work around, and I'd already, and always I should say, no, not always, but let's say over the last 5 years previous to that, I had a few ideas of projects that I would like to write. I have a very good friend who's a writer, Sinke Henderson. And I actually met him, he worked at DreamWorks. He was one of the, I think he was some kind of an executive for Steven Spielberg on the writing side of things, and fantastic writer, fantastic friend of mine. And I wanted him to actually write this project, an idea that I had, but then he got booked on a TV show. So I was then left with this project thinking, I could wait for him to finish in like a year, 2 years on this gig, or I could give it a shot and try and write it myself. And I was well aware that I hadn't been to school, I've been to drama school, but I didn't focus on writing. That was more about acting and being up on your feet in front of the camera. So I thought, okay, let me give it a shot, you know. I started reading a couple books about other actors or writers who had, written and they hadn't had any formal training in terms of actually writing. And I was aware it could turn out terrible, or who knows, it could be genius, since I wasn't following a particular structure outside of the many scripts I'd read. And thankfully it wasn't shit. it was pretty decent, and it wasn't just my mom who said so as well. It was like, the people who I sent it out to, they were really impressed and like, wow, my stories aren't about, we do this and and this one dies and that one doesn't. There are deaths in my stories. I'm not trying to a lot of my movies I've written are kind of R-rated kind of movies in terms of for a more mature audience, but that's just because that's my personality, and I'm just more, I would rather see an R-rated movie than a PG-13, that's just me. Because I like that adult realism that comes with that. And that could just be a language factor. It doesn't mean that it's got, kind of crazy, really bad things in it. But yeah, pretty much everything I've written is pretty much around for a more mature audience, but inspiring. I like to think that there's always going to be an inspirational through line.
To others, yeah. That's just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now, why don't you do much social media? I said I was going to ask you that question today. Why don't you do Instagram? I don't think you do Facebook. I don't know about Twitter, but why?
I hate it, man, because you know what? I mean, I am on Facebook. And I am on Twitter, and I do have an account
I know
on
you
Instagram.
Do, you have so much followers, and you're not saying anything. It's just
You know what? I find it boring. I don't like it. I don't really like it. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for my career, I probably wouldn't even have the Instagram and the Facebook. Sorry, the Instagram and the Twitter.
Oh, okay.
The reason being is because I feel like when I'm in a moment and I'm like, as we're here talking, I'm in the moment. I'm listening to you, listening to me, and I like to feel that we're engaged in this conversation with every part of ourselves.
I agree.
I feel that when you're continuously trying to tweet something out or Instagram or followers and this and
you
the other,
lose the moment sometimes.
you lose the moment. I feel like you have to step out yourself and be objective, and you just have to step out that moment and say, "Oh, wait 1 second, let's capture this moment with a selfie or with a picture, or wait, let me just write them out. I'm having the best meal ever, or the best interview ever right now with Princess." And I just feel like it takes you away, and you're not going to experience or fully enjoy the moment if you're continuously checking out of the moment to document it. It's like I don't want to live my life as a documentary, with a phone or whatever, continuously film. Like, let me just enjoy my life. Yeah. And I'll remember those moments.
And sometimes these things can be so infectious. Like, I've seen people who I've seen I think it's videos of people who would be on the streets and they've almost been knocked down by a car and they're still post Instagram.
For sure. Just look around these days. You're driving around and you just have to look at the lights. I mean, some of that is texting as well, I'm sure. But a lot of the time it's like, oh, I'm here doing this, and you can just see it from your friends or some of the posts online, like, I'm doing it, I just had this done and look at me and da-da. Like, everyone wants to be the star of their own movie. Yeah. Everyone wants to be the star of their own movie, which is fine.
Everyone has to be relevant too.
Yeah, but for me, but that's the thing, my relevance isn't based on how many people are following me on Twitter or Instagram. I really don't care about that.
I like that. Say that again. Give me that word again.
My relevance is not based on how many people are following me on Twitter.
Give me a high five.
I'll give you something for that. There you go.
I like that. Now, what is it about you that we do not know? What is it about you?
Oh, there's a ton that people don't know, and I like it like that. I'm a private person. I am a private person. I get out. I have a lot of fun. I'm not a saint. I do. I get out there, and for sure, everyone. You have to be able to kick back and let your hair down, but I just don't like to necessarily broadcast.
Are you dating? Are you in a relationship?
Yeah, I'm in a relationship. Yeah, I'm in a relationship. Yeah, as I said, I've got a 3-year-old.
That's awesome.
I got my Nigerian queen back at home. Yep.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I mean we keep it real.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how to expand on the privacy thing. I mean, I talk about my life and my personal life and everything, but I just feel that I don't know. Again, it's especially just by default the profession that I'm in. I've seen people's families targeted, or I've seen people targeted, or whatever, and I'm just trying to protect them a little bit from it. Let them make their own choices, and if they want to kind of be a little bit more visible, I guess.
I totally agree with you.
In terms of social media, I mean, that's going to be their choice, but I don't want to put that on them.
Right, I totally agree with you.
I just kind of keep my family life to myself.
I agree with you. I do sincerely appreciate you being here. You've been an awesome guest today. So we have a shirt that's designed to empower people's mindset. It's actually called Empowered in front there. And when you put it on, the expectation is people see that and they get harnessed with the thought, with positive thoughts of really being empowered. And then they get to identify their own empowered parity. We'll have you get one before you leave. Thank you so much for being here.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll rock it tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Deuces.